Good evening, sir. Uh, Sir, can we begin with the webinar?
Sure.
Okay. Hello, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the third session of Repertory Live. Today we have with us Dr. Geetesh Kalyankar to teach about the use and importance of single remedy rubrics. Dr. Geetesh is a faculty at the Other Song Prana Academy and practices at Prana Homeopathy Yoga Center, Pune. I welcome him for today's session and request him to start with the webinar.
Okay, thank you. So the topic for today is use and importance of single rubrics. And we've already gone through this. We'll just dive into it straight off. So I would like to start with an example from my own practice and my first experience with single rubrics. And that was a case of a 38-year-old lady who had come to me for chronic headaches. And these chronic headaches, on probing quite a bit, she told me that actually she has two different types of headaches. And what are the two different types? The two different types are that, she has a typical throbbing headaches, one-sided headaches, and they are more in the afternoon. So these headaches are also aggravated by reading or doing needle work or fine eye work, reading type of work, and on all this required quite a bit of questioning. I'm just diving straight into it because the topic is such. The topic is not case taking. So on asking, she said. This type of headache, the throbbing headache, it always starts with the right half of the vision disappearing. So this was the first peculiar symptom that I got. And the next thing that she said was the second types of headaches which she has is usually a headache which is a dull heavy type of headache which always comes at night. But she said, doctor, this headache, the dull heavy type of headache, has come only twice in the afternoon. But because it every time happens at night, I know that, if I sleep over it, then it is going to reduce. So on these two occasions also, I slept in the afternoon when I had the headache. And for sure, after I woke up from the sleep, at that time, the headache had gone. But the interesting thing that happened was when I woke up from this sleep, I just couldn't move my limbs. So these are the two things which very clearly came up in the case. And I would like you all to type in the chat box, what did you all gather from these symptoms? Of course, there are quite a few symptoms which could be a little characteristic, but the topic for today is single rubrics. So what I'm expecting is it has to be absolutely so peculiar that nobody else has ever said this to you. So I would like your response to come up. Any peculiar symptoms for anybody? Yes, am I audible? Yeah, it starts with right half of the vision disappearing, right? That's nice. Good. Limbs are paralyzed after sleep. That's nice. Okay, somebody is saying iris is the only remedy for half vision disappearing before headache. Okay, partial vision, then headache, natrum mur. That's nice. Headache ameliorated by sleep is a common symptom. Okay, there are two people who have said can't move the limbs after sleep. But the more important thing is it has to be associated with headaches, no? Concomitant with head, limbs paralyzed. Correct. That's the more important connection that we had to make here. Loss of vision at the start of headache. That's not the symptom because her vision is not completely lost. Head pain, vision complaints. Okay, all of us are quite close. Now, we have to understand over here that if we see eye complaints before headaches, or even for that matter, loss of vision, dimness of vision before headaches, that too throbbing headaches, one-sided, all those things, it is basically a visual precursor of migraines. So if we consider this as a migraine, then that becomes a common symptom. What is the peculiarity in that? In that, the peculiarity is only right half of the vision is gone. But there's a word in the medical terminology for this kind of a vision going off. What is the word? It's not hemicrania. Hemicrania is one-sided headache. It is hemiopia or hemianopia. Yeah, so hemiopia with headache or before headache, that is what we have to look for. That is the first symptom that we have to look for. And the second symptom is either a paralysis, paresis, weakness, weariness. All of this, these are different terminologies meaning almost the same thing. So weakness is not just a feeling of weakness. Even if you can't move, then it is again weakness of the muscles. So if we can find specific weakness of the muscles along with headache or before headache, then we have hit the bullseye. Now, anybody is close to finding such rubrics? I hope everybody, when attending a repertory lecture, is sitting with a repertory at hand. Myopia, headache with. Okay. Only one. Okay. Okay. So we see what I got. This is what I got. Head complaints accompanied by weakness of muscles, and hemiopia accompanied by head complaints. And the only remedy that comes up is onosmodium. Both of these are single remedy rubrics. And then if we check for other symptoms, which is the migraine symptoms, or aggravated by this, ameliorated by that, ameliorated by sleep, all of that is covered in onosmodium. So this was my first experience with single remedy rubrics. Headache accompanied with paralysis, limb sensation. That's a sensation. She actually couldn't move the limbs. Okay. And with this remedy, one dose, and she didn't have a headache for almost 4 months. Then she needed another dose. And then for almost 6-8 months, 1 year, she followed up, but she did not have a headache. 2-3 months, she took medicine. After that, she just followed up. So that is the kind of result we get when we have this single rubric kind of a situation. Okay. So with that first experience, I would like to okay, which repertory? This is synthesis repertory. I would like to introduce you to the topic for today, single rubrics and the use and importance. Well, basically, I think most of it is self-explanatory, but still I will just say it once. When we say single rubrics or single remedy rubrics, it is one remedy in 5,000, or maybe one remedy in more than 5,000 remedies, which has that kind of a symptom. If that is what we are looking at, then probably that is the remedy that is required by the patient. That is the kind of importance it has. However, with this same sentence, in the same breath, I would like to give here a word of caution that it is not always that we will have that remedy as the indicated remedy, because in homeopathy we will always look at the totality of symptoms, not just one symptom showing one uh, remedy. So either it has to be two or three symptoms which actually show the same remedy, like in this case, or it has to be the totality which is showing a remedy. With that, I will share another case. Now, this is a very interesting case from two aspects. The second aspect I will tell you during the follow-ups. The first aspect is that she came to me for respiratory difficulty, and she's having this problem since 4 years. In 4 years, she has hardly taken any treatment for it. On asking many different questions, she told me that it is more on ascending stairs. So, on asking as to how she feels, what is the exact difficulty, what is the sensation that she feels, where does it feel it, where does she feel it, all those things I keep asking, and she finally comes to a situation where she says, doctor, you're asking me so many times, I'll just tell you one thing. It is the same sensation that I feel if a room is closed. So when the room is closed, and if somebody has put the latch on or the lock on, then I have a terrible fear. And with that fear, there is so much burden on my chest and on my shoulders that I just feel I cannot breathe. That is the uh, intensity, and that is the uh, severity of this breathlessness. So anybody for this symptom? Anybody understood this symptom fully? We'll go one symptom at a time in this case. So delusion soda water bottle he is. That's not the one in this case. Claustrophobia is fairly good. But I would urge you to think more, because claustrophobia is probably a rubric where there are around 300 to 500 remedies. We are talking about one single remedy rubric. Anxiety suffocative closed room is closer, good. Heaviness in chest, closed room. See, respiration difficult, ascending is very common. Breathlessness in narrow places, she's not talking about narrow places. She's talking about a closed room. She's very clear. Okay, feel suffocated. Now, here is where we need our, um, sharpness of our senses and of our intellect. What is she saying? She has come to me for respiratory difficulty, completely understood. But what is the exact thing that she is saying? She is not saying, she is saying in a way that there is respiratory difficulty in closed room. But she is saying, yes, somebody said anxiety in closed room. More than anxiety, she is saying a lot of fear in closed room. Yeah. So shut places is as good as closed room, but if we can find either of the two in the repertory, then that is what we are looking for. So fear in closed rooms, that is the symptom we have to look for. Okay. And now I proceeded further. In the case history going ahead, she says, doctor, whatever happens, maybe in my family, in my relatives around me, whatever happens, I am the one who gets blamed. And when this happens, no one takes my side. No one cares for me. No one takes my side. No one will defend me. I am the one who will take care of everybody, but nobody will take care of me. I will do so much for everybody and no one loves me. Now, is this a very common story? In fact, it is said in India, there are astrologers who roam around and they'll go to door, and whichever door they will go to, they will tell this to one person or the other, maybe alternate person, that you do a lot for everybody, but no one does for you. It's a common story. It is for everybody. So yes, isolation left out is close. Forsaken, good. Forsaken feeling, delusion, forsaken, all of this is good. But all I'm saying is this is a common story. Is there something so peculiar that you have never heard? Not yet. So I kept asking, and she says, doctor, it is at this point in my life, it is beyond my tolerance limit. I have suffered this for at least 20-25 years, and everybody keeps just blaming me and fighting with me and everything, and I feel I'm totally alone. Nobody has even asked me a cup of tea anytime. So she says, I feel I should commit suicide because of this. This is my story and I feel I should commit suicide. Now somebody has suggested a rubric, delusion alone in the wild. uh, I I have a suggestion that we should not put words into patient's mouth. She did not say wild. She is saying I am alone. So this aloneness should be seen. Now this alone, she is saying, one, I should commit suicide, and I had planned. Alone in the world is good. Delusion alone in the world is good. Not more. You should not say wild. There is no need. He's alone on an island, something like that. Again, alone on an island has a different shade or a different taste, where not only that on the island she is alone, but obviously it is surrounded by the sea and she's never going to get on the other side. So that is a even more desperate situation. Here she's saying, I am alone, everybody is against me. This is what we have to see. Okay, abandoned, forsaken is good. Suicidal disposition from loneliness is good. I agree. But is it a single remedy rubric? What she's saying is, I had planned it, and sometimes I even look up for the best method to commit suicide. Has anybody ever said this to you, that I am looking for the best method? So again, when we start jumping to rubrics, this is what is really detrimental, is really harmful to homeopathic practice. The first thing we have to understand is when to go to the repertory. And let me be candid, it's not just any of you who does that. Sometimes even I do it. Like there's a case which I'm struggling with right now, and I go back to the case taking video, and I see, oh my god, I have not waited enough for the peculiar symptom to come out, I've just gone to the repertory. And these are the cases which will be a disaster. So we have to let the exact symptom come out. The exact symptom is that I feel suicidal, I have planned to commit suicide, and I'm looking for the best method to commit suicide. Okay, so there are many suggestions which have come in between. Suicidal disposition, easiest way, ask questions as to the that is the rubric that we are talking about. And the remedy also somebody has suggested, it is like defloratum. Also, because wants open doors, if you close the door, it is a big problem for lac defloratum. And then she goes on to confirm from the story that she's being tortured not only by her husband, even by her son. And then she just keeps how she keeps standing it, taking it onto her. The rubric is going to come again, don't worry. So alone, the thing of alone, although I'm saying we should not put words, this is one of the rubrics of lac defloratum. This is not the rubric I chose to reach the remedy. The other two are the ones that I used to reach the remedy. This is one of the rubric of lac defloratum that we should remember. If somebody is so alone that he feels, I should, in Indian terms, take sannyas or go to a convent or, just run away to some new place totally, that is lac defloratum. Then, of course, the suicidal disposition, easiest way, asks question as to the quietest end. So she wants to know the easiest and the quietest way to commit suicide. And the third one, of course, fear door closed lest the door should be. Now, almost each of these is as good as a confirmatory rubric for lac defloratum. That is the other use of single remedy rubrics, which you can use. Like in the whole case, you are feeling, oh, this could be the remedy, this could be the remedy, and a few of such symptoms of each remedy, that you ask that to the patient, and most of the times the patient will say yes, that I do have this symptom, and the remedy will get confirmed for you. So this patient got lac defloratum. With the lac defloratum, for almost 4 to 6 months, she did quite well. Her respiratory symptoms were quite less. In the meanwhile, in this lockdown and the situation in the world that is happening, her husband, who was suffering from Alzheimer's plus Parkinson's for last 20 years, he committed suicide actually. And after this suicide of the husband, she got so much into grief, and she got so much into the shock state that we actually thought that she needs ignatia, and we gave her ignatia. And after 15 days, rather after 25 days, she came and she said, "Doctor, I actually forgot that I have to come for medicines, and I'm not better at all." And then we asked her again, "Okay, tell me, what are your symptoms right now?" And what she says is exactly the same thing, that I'm feeling the breathlessness as if the doors are closed. And with my husband passing away, I have again started thinking of suicide and all those things. And again, we gave her lac defloratum, but this time I gave her a 10 potency, and she's doing quite well on that. So that's the other part which I said I'll tell you in the follow-up. Okay. So of course, solving cases, especially confirming the remedy of the cases, studying a remedy, and studying a group or a subkingdom or a family of remedies. All this is possible on the basis of single remedy rubrics. Now, with this as the background, I think I would like to make an appeal for those who are watching me on YouTube, you can register and enter into Zoom, because whatever you type on YouTube, we are not going to be able to see. And as you have been experiencing for the past half an hour, I'm quite interactive. So I would love to see you here on Zoom. You will get the link in the comments also. Okay. Yeah. So studying a remedy, we will just take a few examples at random, and then let's see how it goes from here. So when we are talking about studying a remedy from a single remedy rubric, this concept was actually introduced by Dr. Rajan Sankaran sir almost 25 years ago, when he first said that there is a central disturbance for every person. And this central disturbance is what explains everything in the case. That everything in the case can actually be translated into one rubric, which we could call the delusion of the person. Now, these delusion rubrics, if you see, almost each of them is a story in itself. Only thing is, we have to learn the art of understanding the story from that one rubric. So if we try to do it for a few remedies today, maybe it will help you to understand more and more remedies and remember more and more remedies. Because for me, remembering remedies is very, very difficult. You know, remembering so many symptoms, it is a maze of symptoms, the homeopathic materia medica. So we'll go step by step, maybe 4, 5 remedies, 10 remedies. Let's see how it goes. And we'll try to understand how to understand a full remedy from one rubric. Yeah. So again, I'm sharing a case over here, and this guy is 7 years of age. He had come for recurrent upper respiratory tract infections, and since he was so young, I of course took the symptoms of the upper respiratory tract, but uh, during the history taking, I was talking to the mother, and the mother told me that doctor, when he was 1.5 years old, which is actually almost, uh, just beginning to talk and all those things. At that time, she told the son that I'm not your mother. Actually, this auntie is your mother. And such a young kid, hearing this from the mother, got so angry that he went to the neighbors, the auntie's place to stay. And for the next, that day and the next day, he just didn't come to the mother. In fact, even to come to his own home, he was not ready. He wanted to stay with that neighbor. And the neighbor compulsorily left him at his place. Even then, he would not talk to anybody of this family. He would just not budge. That is the intensity of the feeling that such a young kid had. Now, can we understand anything from this? He was totally sad for those 2 days. Can we understand anything from this? Delusion, neglected by family. Okay, that's nice. That's nice. Head belongs to another. No, I don't know why you're saying that. Don't know yet. Good. No, knowing that you don't know is also a first step to. It would be an inference. I don't like inferences. So okay, betrayed, forsaken, was angry really. Okay. Estranged from family is a very close one. We can differentiate that. Yeah, morose sulky. We have to understand this. Morose sulky. Morose sulky meaning extremely sad and not ready to budge, not ready to get out of it. Disowned. Family does not belong to our own. All these are very close. Looking at the situation, it looks very close. What is the feeling that the child is expressing through his actions? Because obviously we can't ask this boy now that what did you feel at 1.5 years of age? Okay, let me also answer this that this would be an inference, but as I said, this is one symptom that I'm telling you which helped me to think of the remedy, but obviously the totality of symptoms was taken in the case. Okay, hatred, morbid ideas from, it's a little far-fetched. Okay, so what did I get? I got morose, sulky, children in, spoken to when. So this thing of, when you are spoken to, especially when you are spoken to, that is the time you feel all the more sad. And as I said, the rest of the totality was taken. So a natrum mur was given to this child. Delusion, estranged from family, does not belong to family. All these are very close rubrics to what happened in the case. But for that to be taken into consideration for the prescription, that should have come from the patient, that I actually felt like that. Okay, that is the situation that we are talking about. In the situation, what is the child actually reacting? Because it's a non-verbal case, at least in for this situation, it's a non-verbal thing that is going on. So we have to see the reaction and not the feeling. The reaction will be seen exactly in the rubric. Okay, what about obstinate? Obstinate is a very big rubric, very vague. I can't reach a remedy from that, especially if I'm getting such a sharp rubric. I would prefer to go with this. One more case maybe. So 32 years, female, recurrent urinary infections. Okay, which repertory? As many of my rubrics you will find in complete repertory, rarely in Fatak's repertory or Nair's repertory or synthesis repertory. Okay, potency of natrum mur, I gave 1M because if we consider only that situation and the reaction, it would look like a 10M. But when I took the case, the boy was already 7, and whatever I could get in the case, I had to give a 1M, not a 10M. Okay, so next case, recurrent urinary infections. This lady, again, the whole case was taken, but the one thing which helped me really in this case was this feeling that sometimes I feel that the walls are coming closer and closer and closer, and she actually does that when she says it. And when in a while I get into a panic attack, and as if I would have no place to move at all. Now this closer and closer and closer is of course directly seen in the repertory. The more important thing, okay, people have started jumping to remedies. Carbo veg, yes, it is there, but carbo veg has a feeling that the walls will collapse on her. Okay, this is just getting closer and I cannot move. Again, argentum nitricum, walls will crush him. Here it is not crushing. Yes, somebody has come to a cannabis indica. Now that is the rubric. Delusions, imagination, walls are gliding. That is what she's saying. But that is not enough. So what is more important is, if it is going to crush him, it is argentum nitricum. It is, if it is not going to crush, it is going to come closer and closer and closer, but you cannot move. That's all. That's the biggest problem, that you cannot move. Then it is cannabis indica. And if you see, she was not using cannabis. So, I mean, I have confirmed that. And the symptoms of the urinary tract and the other full case has confirmed cannabis. So I've given her cannabis indica. In fact, I had even thought for cannabis sativa in her case, because that is the more commonly indicated remedy among the Hamamelidae for urinary infections. But it was cannabis that I gave her from other confirmations. Yes, synthesis as well as complete. So if it is the walls crushing, it is argentum nitricum. If it is the he's outside and still he'll be crushed by houses, then again it is argentum nitricum. But if it is soda water bottle, he is, somebody mentioned for the earlier case, it is either argentum nitricum or cannabis indica. So what is the commonality? Let us try and understand, because we said that understanding a remedy from single remedy rubrics is possible. So what is the commonality and what is the difference? Argentum nitricum and cannabis indica. So for argentum nitricum, because of the nitricum element, there is a lot of pressure. There is a lot of pressure. That is why he feels like a soda water bottle. A soda water bottle is basically a image given for a lot of pressure. If you take a soda water bottle and move it like that, shake it up, the amount of pressure that is inside is sometimes even enough to, pop the cork out. So that much of pressure is there in argentum nitricum. But we have to understand that argentum nitricum is not only nitricum, it also has the argentum part in it. And the argentum part is a metal. It is a performer. It is a heavy performer, a very strong personality. So this soda water bottle is all the time pressurized because of his work, which is very, very skillful work. That is what argentum nitricum is. Extremely skillful work, which needs very, very creative thought process. And not only the creative thought process, the nitricum also gives it a sense of time bound feeling. So argentum nitricum is I'm just giving you a situation to remember so that you remember the remedy, is a situation where you need to give creative solutions in a time bound process, and they have to be perfect. And that is, this time pressure and the performance pressure is causing so much pressure on you that you feel like a soda water bottle. I hope that is clear. Now we shift to cannabis indica. What is cannabis indica? Like somebody said, it could be cannabis misuse. What is the meaning of misuse? Cannabis indica is a drug remedy. And it's a drug remedy which gives a high. So if you see drug remedies in our materia medica, they are either from the Hamamelidae family or from the Papaveraceae family. So the Hamamelidae family is the family where the drugs will give you a high. They will take you to a totally different world. It is not that you will simply go to sleep. Comatose, they are not comatose remedies. Whereas if you see Papaveraceae, if you see morphine and opium and other remedies, they will give you a sedation. That's the kind of drug experience that Papaveraceae will give you. Now, when I'm saying they give you a high, it means that you feel so fantastic and euphoric and everything, that you feel that, I'm just great, I'm the best, I'm the hugest possible thing on earth, I'm God, all those kinds of feelings you get. If you simply look up the rubrics in the mind section for cannabis indica, all of the ones that I said are given as single remedy rubrics for cannabis indica. I am God is also given for cannabis indica, single remedy rubric. Now, in this cannabis indica, the high that we get is this expansive, huge thing that I'm having. I'm the biggest. That is the huge. That is the right. Somebody is saying megalomania. That is the kind of experience we get when we take cannabis as a drug. On the other hand, which is what I'll be talking about for some more time for each remedy that we talk about. On the other hand, meaning thereby, every remedy has two sides. Every coin has two sides. Every remedy has two sides. So, on the one hand, cannabis is this huge, expansive, godlike feeling. On the other hand, it is extremely contracted, constricted, held close, just boxed in, no place to move, all that. So, this rubric of walls gliding closer and there being no place to move is part of that. So, cannabis indica as a remedy has huge, huge, huge. And this case gave me the other end of it, which was the boxed in feeling, the small feeling. So, when I'm saying this one side and the other side, we have to understand every remedy has two sides. And these two sides are not just, like the coin, either heads or tails. It is first heads, then tails. First, one side of the coin will be seen for a long time, and after a threshold point reaches, the other side comes up. So, to give you an example, sepia. Sepia is a remedy who is concerned about everybody, who takes care of everybody, dances to everybody's tune. That is why in the mind section we have the rubric dance ameliorates for sepia, and equally for the physical section it has dance ameliorates. So this is the long term sepia that you will see for many, many, many years. And after a typical threshold point where the ego defense snaps, after that there'll be a total indifferent sepia. Although in the proving, the indifference came up so very intensely and prominently that we from the materia medica learn only the indifferent side of sepia. So these two sides are very important for each remedy for us to know. Otherwise, we will be prescribing Sina only for kids and never for adults. And we will be prescribing Aurum and Mercury only for adults and never for kids. We should know both the sides, and then we will be able to prescribe each remedy for anybody and everybody who comes up. So we will try to do this today through the single rubrics that we are talking about. Let's move ahead. Let's take a few examples. Okay, let's take a few examples. Let's see what is cuprum met. As a remedy, cuprum met, most of us you would know for cramps. And cramps is, physically, cramps is just a tightening. But if you understand what is the mind doing at that time, it is also contracting. And when contracting, I'm doing this gesture, meaning thereby I'm trying to control. So cuprum has a lot of need for control, trying to control. And if we try and understand this, through a single remedy rubric. The rubric is delusion general he is, or delusion officer he is. Now this, when we see what is a general, who is a general? If somebody has any connection with anybody in the army, you should ask them, what is a general? Who is a general? A general is a person who is, giving orders to everybody in the army. So, giving orders, not just dictatorial, giving orders to everybody, and it has to be followed as it is. That is the point. That is the point of Cuprum. So if you understand this, that it is so dictatorial that you have to follow it, that's the kind of control Cuprum has over everybody in the house. That is what Cuprum is. Single remedy rubric. And as I said, this will be seen for a very long period of time in their life, in Cuprum patients' lives. But there's the other side of the remedy. After failing, this Cuprum also has rubrics like delusion herbs for sale, he has green herbs. So for the Indian participants, Hari Sabji Bechra, green vegetables, he's selling green vegetables. That is the kind of worth he has left over now. Or sometimes it is also a feeling in young individuals that actually I'm capable of this, of being a general, but somehow I have not attained it, and what I'm doing is so very trivial. It is so very, not important kind of a thing. That is what Cuprum is. And if you see even the single remedy rubrics for physical symptoms of Cuprum met, you will see all this tightness and tension and cramps and everything, all of that. Okay. Now, there's one interesting corollary to what I said right now. When we see delusion general he is or delusion officer he is, it also depicts a picture who is a person who is in charge of judging others' performances. Whether it is a general who is judging others subordinates performances, or whether it is an officer, a police officer, who is judging whether this person is a criminal or not. So that part of Cuprum is also an interesting part that we should remember when we are thinking of Cuprum as a remedy for patients. Okay, let us take another example. Calcarea carb. Now we all know calcarea carb. Again, cramps is a part of calcarea carb, but they are not as violent cramps as Cuprum. Here the cramps are out of a different reason, and that is holding on to support, holding on to things. That is what leads to cramps in calcarea carb. But if we see the single remedy rubrics, here it is. It is fear in children of everything that it sees. So what does that mean? It means that there's a lot of fear. That's very obvious. But it means that the child is afraid of even things that we should never be afraid of. Now, how is this fear different from the fear of maybe Solanaceae plants, Belladonna, Hyoscyamus, Stramonium? They are also very, very afraid. How is it different? The holding on will be there in children as it is, but the difference is the terror that it creates in Solanaceae, in Belladonna, Stramonium, will not be seen in the calcarea carb. There is another rubric which helps us understand this rubric for Calcarea carb is talks of nothing but murder, fire and rats. Now, that is not a single remedy rubric, so I have not put in the presentation, but we should understand it. Talks of nothing but murder, fire and rats, meaning thereby there's murder around. So you feel so afraid, so insecure that, somebody has murdered somebody just in your neighborhood, and the way you will feel it that day. That is the kind of feeling, am I the next one on the hit list? That kind of a feeling that Calcarea has. Or if we talk of fire, it is depicting a complete loss of whatever you have. That is what Calcarea carb is. And rats, it is depicting a, how do you say it, corroding, eroding type of loss, slow loss that is going on. So whatever you look at, murder, fire, rats, it is trying to hold on to something, especially your security that is being talked about. That is what Calcarea carb is. Now I have purposely put this example here so that we have something for everybody. There are other rubrics, single remedy rubrics for Calcarea, which say play watchwood rather than join in games. Now, this is the kind of indolence that Calcarea carb induces. Of course, Kent has mentioned that this Calcarea person or child will just sit and break sticks and do nothing. He likes to be idle. And the indolence is so much that in adults, they will quit their thriving business. So, on the one hand, they want to hold on to everything, but on the other hand, they are not ready to work for it. That is what Calcarea carb is, which means you have to, if I am Calcarea carb, you have to do it for me. I'm not going to work for it, but I should not lose it also. You have to give me that support. You have to help me out. That is what Calcarea carb is. And as I said, the earlier stage or the other side of the coin is that from the slightest cause, they will go into anger, temper tantrums. So, with that, we stop on Calcarea carb with a lot of insecurity seen. And we think, what is bryonia? Bryonia, quite a few of us would know for joint pains, aggravated motion, aggravated slightest motion, and maybe quite a few more would know about business talks of and financial loss aggravates. But how do we understand this from single remedy point of view? Bryonia alba gets this raised aversion to being. What is raised aversion to being? We have to understand raised aversion to being from a different point of view also. In life, maybe you raised averse to being, meaning the more you raise, the more you delegate responsibilities to the person. But raised averse to being also has this sense where a child is sitting and he should not be raised. He should not be picked up, which is what the real meaning here of Bryonia alba is. If I'm sitting quietly, you don't come and pick me up. You don't come and disturb what I am doing. That is what is the sense of Bryonia alba. Raised aversion to being. In a way, the earlier thing that I said, in life, when you are raised, whatever was going on, the routine gets disturbed. You have to get adjusted to a higher level. That is what Bryonia does not like at all. And at the physical level, each of us knows that it has aggravation from the slightest motion. What is motion? What is moving? It is steady, stable, and then you move it. Moving means a disturbance to what is already there. So this is what Bryonia alba is. But interestingly, there is one rubric where there is fear of motion, obviously, because all motion aggravates me, but coughing ameliorates. What is this coughing ameliorates? Of course, at one level, it is a simple physical cough ameliorates fear of motion. But is it as simple as that? I would say coughing ameliorates also has the sense that if there is a sudden movement without any, how do we put it, warning sign, then it is okay. And after the movement has happened, the fear is gone, because the fear is of something that will happen. Something already has happened, you will not be afraid of it. We have to understand it also from this point of view. This is interesting that we all know for business talks of there is Bryonia. But which business talks of? Business talks of irrational is definitely Bryonia. Now, what is irrational business talks of? In one of my patients, I saw this rubric when he had a business which was going on well, and then he had a problem in the business. And then the problem in the business went on for quite a bit. When this problem was going on, he started doing this irrational talk of business, meaning thereby he had a business of he is an interior designer. So in the interior designing thing, his ideas or his solutions that were put forth started to be rejected by the clients. One is that irrational, and the second thing that he started doing was he started giving out information about his business to anybody and everybody, including his rivals. Now, this is where his rationale had given way. This is where he needed Bryonia. The understanding of this is that uh, the intensity of the failure in business or the incident that had happened was so intense. It was so intense that it, as I said, snapped the defense mechanism, and that is where he started talking irrationally about his business. That is where he needed Bryonia. And bed get out of and wants to go home. Single remedy Bryonia. Now, if we understand the last two together, it makes more sense. When I said it is such an intense situation that the ego defense snapped, the intensity is that of panic. Whereas this desire to go home is a place of comfort. So you want to reach a place of comfort. You will not reach by doing these irrational talks, but you want to reach a place of comfort. So whatever happens, if my problems get solved and if I reach this place of comfort, this home, then I will be better. That is the feeling for bryonia. Okay, so any questions as of now? We've done cuprum, calcarea, and bryonia. Yes, bryonia is the typhoid miasm. Looks like there are some questions also. Fear of motion ameliorated by cuffing. There is a fear of this change or this disturbance that is coming. But if the change happens suddenly and it passes off, then the fear is also gone. So what I'm saying is, what are you afraid of? Suppose you are afraid of examinations. Whoever is asking the question, please imagine your own fear. But the fear is always of something that is going to happen in the future. Whereas this cuffing as a motion has happened so suddenly, you didn't even get the time to realize that you might cough and you have fear for it. The cough has already happened. In bryonia, the cough is not as violent or as continuous as a cuprum or any other spongia or any other remedy. It is one or two paroxysms of cough. So it has already happened and you don't get the time to, get afraid of it. So the fear of motion is ameliorated by cuffing. That is the understanding that I gave. Okay. Okay, I'll just look at a few more questions, if any. Okay, get out of bed and go home. The explanation was that home is the place of comfort. Whereas even if you are at actual home, if you are ill and you don't feel at home, that comfort you don't feel, that is when you want to do that. The understanding is that you want to reach a place of comfort. Right now you are ill, you are not at the place of comfort. Okay, there are a few rubrics that are being asked. It would be quite difficult to cover all rubrics that will be asked. So I suggest you ask more uh, general questions. If you have some rubric which you still want to ask, maybe if in the end we have time, you can ask, or you can email me, you can email to the organizers. They will forward it to me and I will surely make it a point to answer. Okay. Okay, somebody is asking for cough of plant, mineral, animal. That is not, out of syllabus. For today, that's not the topic. We can do it some other day. Okay. Okay, somebody has asked if the single remedy rubric suggests a remedy and that remedy is not covered by the totality, what to do? I have tried to answer it once. I will answer it this second time, that you have to follow the totality of symptoms, because that is what we treat in homeopathy. Maybe you can check once more if in some other understanding of the remedy or in some other materia medica, you can find that this is a this is the totality of the same remedy. Mm-hmm. Okay. So we think of Veratrum album. Now, what do we know Veratrum album for? Maybe religious mania, maybe the diarrhea that we know about, maybe the cold sweat on forehead. These are the things we think of when we think of Veratrum album. Yeah. So, if we look at the single remedy rubrics of Veratrum album, this is what comes up very prominently. The delusion that he's a distinguished person and he gives away money to everybody and he's proud of his position. Delusion, position, loss of, that is very close to what we are saying here, but that's the failed side, and this is the, the success side of it, of the story. And he's successful, he wants to maintain his position in the eyes of others, and for that he tries to buy everybody out. He gives expensive gifts and he squanders his money. That is what Veratrum album is. Yeah. So delusion, distinguished he is and proud of his position. Now, as I said, this is a very straightforward understanding of the rubric, that he is very distinguished. But the more important part of the rubric is that he is trying to maintain that position by squandering the money, by giving away his money, by giving away gifts. He's trying to maintain that position, especially in the eyes of others, so that he can maintain it in his own eyes. When we understand this much, then we come to a different rubric totally. It's not a delusion. It's a rubric from the mind section, bear in your mind, that he pretends to be deaf, blind, and that he has cancer. So, like I said, one end he is at this high, at the other end he is trying to pretend that he is so, uh, you know, uh, he needs all your sympathy. If you meet such a person who is deaf, blind, and has cancer, what will you feel? You'll obviously feel sympathetic for him. You will obviously try and help him. You will obviously at least give him some sympathy and a few words of care and love. In both of these are two extremes, these are two sides of the same coin. Yes, it is affectation, it is pretended, understood, but it is for gaining affection, no? So in both of these two things, what is the commonality? Anybody? Okay, pretending is a common in both, understood. But attention seeking is also common, no? Opinion of others. And that opinion of others is going to make your own opinion about yourself. That is the commonality. Yes, attention seeking, wants attention. So if we bear this much in mind, that Veratrum wants attention. Now, if we look at it from a psychologist's point of view, who doesn't want attention? Anybody in the group here? who doesn't want attention? Everybody needs attention. Everybody wants attention. But everybody doesn't go to this extreme to get the attention. Yeah. So that is what is, I mean, again, the intensity of it is peculiar, and the pretense, the show off, that is very peculiar in Veratrum album. There is one more rubric, and it is a single rubric. As far as I remember, it is a single rubric. For Veratrum, there's a rubric that he licks up cow dung and he licks up his own feces. Now, again, what kind of a person can do this? Who can lick up cow dung? It's only a person who wants attention. There's the other side of it could be like, if anybody of you all know, licking up cow dung or even your own feces is part of Tantra. And Tantra is a religious or a spiritual methodology which quite a few people follow to attain enlightenment. Now, in spirituality and in enlightenment, what you want to be is to be one with everybody. It is also this angle which will help you to remember these things. So in spirituality, you want to feel one with everybody. You know, that is the final aim, the goal. Now, this salvation or this enlightenment is the goal for Veratrum, or for that matter, I will just extend it in a few moments. Okay. If we look at the remedy colchicum, yes, that is religious mania. That is why I explained the other side of the story of licking up feces and cow dung. That is Tantra. Okay, if we look at colchicum, we know colchicum for a lot of nausea, vomiting, which comes out of smelling food and different smells. That is what colchicum is. But if we look at these rubrics, morose, sulky, questioned unless. Or there's another rubric, indifference, apathy, complain does not, unless questioned, then says nothing of his condition. Meaning thereby, if you are not asked, you feel very bad, you feel dejected, you feel, I don't want to talk to, I don't want to give in to anybody. That is morose, sulky. Or you are ill, but you feel, if nobody is asking me, then why should I complain? I am not going to complain about my situation. And out of this, you feel so dejected that even when somebody asks, even at that time, you say, no, I'm okay. Nothing is happening. That is what, again, colchicum depicts. That is the one of the few main rubrics of colchicum, single remedy rubrics. Again, what is the thing that comes up common in this? Being questioned about yourself. Being asked about your condition, about yourself. That is the commonality in this. And being asked means by whom? Obviously not by yourself, by somebody else. Okay. The other thing that that we did talk about was this nausea and vomiting from a lot of smells, especially of food. And this sensitivity to smell is so much that they can smell things in the sense of even what is happening around. And there's disgust about it, disgust from smells. Okay, we are doing one more remedy, maybe 2 3 more, and then we'll sum them up together. If we look at crocus sativa, what do we know crocus sativa for? Anybody? Okay. Vivacious, singing, ropey discharges, mania. What mania? Just think they talk with everyone. Okay. I know crocus sativa for kissing mania. Like belladonna is violent mania, stramonium is terrorized and religious mania, veratrum is religious mania, hyoscyamus is lascivious mania, and crocus is kissing mania. So what is kissing mania? I'm just, expanding, not just sticking to the single rubrics in this case. What is kissing mania? Too affectionate. That's the word. You are too affectionate to everybody. It's not just about getting attracted physically. It's not just about sexual thing. It is about affectionate to everybody. But the interesting single rubrics that we can find is sing desires to. Even there's a delirium rubric to a similar effect, that whenever somebody is singing, involuntarily this person joins that person singing. That is interesting about crocus. It is so sensitive to music that anybody singing, even humming a song, involuntarily this person will start singing. So joining into others singing. Delusion, imagination, music, hears, attending a concert he is. So sensitive to music. And sadness during an interesting lecture. So if anybody of you are sad right now, you can take crocus. I mean, I'm assuming that this lecture is interesting. Yeah. So what is the idea of crocus? The idea of crocus is so affectionate to everybody that she or he starts kissing people around. And not only that, like what I said, feeling one with the other. If you start singing, I will join with you in that song. That's the amount of sensitivity that crocus has. And remember this, feeling one with the other. Another remedy, Lilium tigrinum. What do we know Lilium tigrinum for? The uterine complaints? Anything else? Yes, heart. Okay. Religiousness. Suppressed sexual desire. Good. Guilt. Very good. Left out feeling. Okay. Delusion that she cannot get along without her family. Lilium tigrinum, forsaken feeling is one end, and the other end is she cannot get on without her family. get along without her family. So she's so much one with the family that she feels she cannot live without the family. Busy to repress sexual desire. Now, somebody did say this earlier also, sexual desire and suppressed or repressed sexual desire. Again, we should understand sexuality, or especially suppression or repression of sexuality, is so much a part of religiousness. Whichever religion you talk about in the world, the first thing they try to say is sex is a sin and that you have to suppress sexual desire. The more sexual you are, the more away you are from God, from oneness. That's a common teaching for almost all religions. Of course, I know one guru or one spiritual person who changed this concept totally for quite a few people in the world, a lot of people in the world, and that was Osho. And he said, actually, sexuality is the first step. The more sexual the person is, the more intelligent he is, and the more chances are that he will be able to attain enlightenment. That was his, the 360 or 180-degree turn that we call. So busy to repress sexual desire and delusions. He has done wrong, and therefore people are against her. Single remedy. Now do we see again, people are against her. So every time that we are talking for the last 4 remedies, are we seeing something in common? Yes. I would like you all to answer. Is there anything common? Yes, mind and physicals are interrelated. That is for every remedy. Wants people around and wants their attention. Otherwise, you feel forsaken. Yes, that is the common theme that is coming up for the last 3-4 remedies. And the other common theme that came up, I wonder if you all realized, was the spirituality or religiousness or whatever we call it. Whether it was veratrum, whether it was lilium, whether it was the earlier crocus. So this thing of wants people around and wants to be with them and wants to be, as some people said, to be included, or they feel excluded, forsaken. This is the one common theme that comes up. But that is just a part of the story. The remaining part is the spiritual part. And why I want to stress on this is, to be included will just give a sense of, that if I'm a college boy and I have a group, um, and the group of friends are, going for a picnic, and they are not including me. That's not the intensity of these 3-4 remedies that we talked about. The intensity is of, as I said, in spirituality, in enlightenment, in these kinds of things, you want to feel one with the whole. You want to feel one with everything and everybody around. That is what is supposedly the goal for spirituality, or for enlightenment, or for religiousness. This feeling one is what is missed by these remedies, which are from Lily Flory. I am, like most of you have already said, included, excluded is known to be the theme or the sensation of Lily Flory family. I've even done allos for you. It is the theme for Lily Flory, but the Liliflori theme is not just to be included as in a group of 10. It is so much included that you feel one. You just can't bear anything less than that. If you see the rubric also, you cannot do without the family. And you believe, you imagine right now, you cannot do without the family, but the family can do without you, no? They are not either Liliflori family patients. They can do without you. And then the kind of hurt that you will feel, the kind of excluded feeling that you will get, that is what is Liliflori family. We will also look at Elos. It is also from the Liliflori family. And the rubric, single rubric that we get is hatred repels everyone. That is the exact opposite, no? You want to feel one with everyone and then you hate everyone. That is exact opposite. That is what Liliflori family is. Allows hatred for everyone. Yeah. And the other side of the story is fraternized with the whole world, which means he is a friend to the whole world. That is Elos, that is Liliflori for you. So when I said single remedy rubrics can be used to understand a family or a subkingdom or a group, this is what I meant. So one by one, going through the remedies one by one, I think we have done quite well to understand Liliflori as a family. Any questions in this? Fraternize means being friends with. Crocus also belongs to the Liliflori family. That is why it was kept in the list. I am using the complete repertory. Okay, other side, as I said, for everybody, it will be a different point of time, but it will be a point or a event or a point in time where many events have happened and this switch happens. Okay. Okay, what's happening around is, there is disgust for what is happening around, meaning, in relationships, in families, they get, see, colchicum is a remedy for nausea, vomiting, and nausea, vomiting is a disgust, no? So that is what they feel about what is happening in the uh, relationships and in the families around them. That is what colchicum is. Although in the books it is given for the malarial miasm, but they have a lot of disgust, and that is also a theme of the Liliflori family, where this kind of disgusting things are part of them. That is why they either want to be one with, or they are feeling totally um, excluded. Any connection with the animal kingdom themes? Well, animal kingdom has disgust with themselves. That's the only thing I can say right now, because we are not talking about the kingdoms today, but animal kingdom does have disgust for themselves. It is me versus myself. Okay, lack remedies also have disgust for themselves. Yeah. So we'll take a few more examples about how we can understand groups of remedies. Okay, that's an interesting question. The how to distinguish these remedies from a remedy like Tilia cordata, who has the strong desire to be one with the world. This will become easier if I give you the family and the understanding of the family. Liliflori has anxiety salvation for. If you look for this rubric, anxiety salvation for, you will find more Liliflori than the Tilia family. And the Tilia family, as far as I remember, is either it is Malvales or it is Scrophilariaceae. I think it is Malvales. And yeah, it is Malvales, the chocolate family. And if you see the way Malvalis or the chocolate family feels is that it is already a part, it is already one with the whole. The problem arises when they understand that they are not one. They separate and then the problem arises. That is Malvalis. Otherwise, they are feeling one with the world. So, this strong desire to be one with the world in Tilia, like I had a patient of Tilia in whom I saw this, it was that you know, all throughout my life, I have behaved and I have felt and experienced and understood myself as a part of my husband. And I have taken immense care to let that understanding be and uh, to impart or imbibe or induce that kind of a feeling in my husband. But he has simply turned his back to me, and that is where my problem started. Now this turning the back is a very prominent feature of Malvelis. You are already a part of the whole, you are already one with the whole, and now this turning back, this rejection, this throwing you out from that one person, that is what Malvelis does. Here it is in Liliflori, it is a desire. You still have to be there, you still have to reach there, you want to be one with the world. That is the difference between Liliflori and Malvelis, as far as I have understood. Okay, so we go ahead a little more. So if we look at this rubric, rest in no position and in no company. So this person cannot rest in any position or company. This is Apis. It is on a continuous motion. It is so restless. That is the way Apis is. But Apis will have a few other characteristics along with this, which is only Apis. This rubric we can extend or generalize, like we understood from the earlier example where we saw 3-4 remedies together. We can look for insect examples again, but I am just trying to give you, because time is short, I'm just trying to give you that if you understand this kind of restlessness, that just cannot rest at whatever the situation, they have to keep moving, they have to keep doing something. That is not just apis, that is insects. That is the way you have to understand the use of single rubrics to remember or to understand groups of remedies. Okay, apis. A similar one, dance desires to up and down tarantula. Now this rubric, up and down dancing, this, if you have ever seen a spider, like I remember when I didn't even know anything of this sort, I was just in the first year of my homeopathy school, and we were standing in the porch, and we were watching a spider, and he was in his web, and it was a continuous tuck, 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 tuck. That is the kind of motion that spiders have in the source of the remedy. This is there. And of course, this tuck tuck is my sound that I'm making, but the spider is moving. This up and down and the dance desire is a feature of all spider remedies. You can safely expand it to the sphere of all spider remedies. The other thing which I did tuck 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 is the rhythm. They will love music which has rhythm. Whereas the earlier the earlier crocus, we we understood had a desire to sing. And if you see, there is another remedy which has a tremendous love for music, especially drum beats, is analonium. There's one remedy which has only for violin. So that's another single remedy rubric, and I would urge you all to find it. Okay, so this is for spiders. Threatening and using words of destruction. Again, tarantula. Threatening is a very strong feature of tarantula. And not only tarantula, of almost all spider remedies. Threatening. That is arachnida. Okay. There's another feature like we did, we did many remedies and 2-3 themes. I gave you an example of apis. We are doing arachnida in a little more detail. Not everything of arachnida, because that itself will take a day or so, but at least a few themes where you understand this is arachnida. I have to look for remedies in arachnida. Oh yes, thank you, Dr. Nilesh. Viola is for violin. Yeah, jesting, hysterical, jesting, joking around. That is another feature of spiders. Joking around with everybody, not even having the respect or reverence that is required in some places, not even in those places having that. That is the kind of joking. And what type of joking? If you just see the type of joking, it will tell you what type of remedy you will require. So for example, joking at the cost of others is lachesis, meaning thereby it is all snakes. Joking at the cost of others, meaning demeaning somebody to create a joke. That is lachesis. Whereas using somebody's disability to create a joke and mocking at it, sometimes even imitating it, that is another feature of spider remedies. Again, gestures makes involuntary motion of hands as if knitting. And this is again continuous. So very, extremely restless, just like all insects. All spiders are equally restless. The difference being the mocking, joking, and threatening, which all together put together, it means they are very mischievous people, naughty people. That is what spider remedies are. If we continue with tarantula itself, you will see single remedy rubrics, rage, fury, striking with himself. So he will strike himself. Now this is a theme of animal remedies. All animal remedies will have this feature of me versus myself. So this is how you can keep expanding your horizon. If you understand a few concepts, you can expand your horizon from just tarantula to many animal remedies where they can sometimes hit themselves, inflicting injury or pain to themselves. Okay, disgust about his own unnatural state of mind. Again, this is totally animal theme. About his own unnatural state of mind. This single rubric, a single remedy rubric, also has a theme within itself where he is so conscious that he understands that this state of mind that I am having right now is unnatural. You cannot understand this without awareness about yourself. So that is another theme which is very common to animal remedies. Okay. Now, going through so much of only mind rubrics, we should not feel that single remedy rubrics are there only in the mind section. So I have tried to compile a few cases of mine where physical single remedy rubrics help me to, you know, think that this could be this remedy, and then the case confirmed everywhere. So these are the cases that I will be sharing. You have to look for physical single remedy rubrics. So the first case is 30 years female telling me that, doctor, I cannot let one day pass by when I have coition, I have an intercourse, and after which I can go to sleep without urinating or go ahead and do any work without urinating. I have to urinate if I go through an intercourse. Please find the rubric. Considering the scope of this, yes, the remedy is given right. Please also give the rubric over there. The rubric is urging to urinate, morbid desire after coition in the bladder section. It is natrum phos. Now, some Staphylococcus aureus is also given, but when I had solved this case, there was only natrum phos. So even if there are two right now, I'm just giving it to you as it is. Another case, male 54 years. Yeah. The wife says the husband has not complained, but the wife says my husband, who is a diabetic, needs to have sexual intercourse every day. Not only that, he needs the actual act to continue for almost an hour. Before that, he is never satisfied. And then, of course, the details I asked the husband, and we have the rubric. Orgasm delayed. Is it a single remedy rubric? Anybody? Orgasm want of. There's no want of. He just gets it too late. Question long too. That is very much closer. Enjoyment prolonged. That's not right. He's not, or she's not saying he enjoys it too long. She is saying he cannot be satisfied in normal time. So orgasm delayed is close. Coition too long is close. See, when we read a rubric, every word is important. Ejaculation delayed is the rubric, but there is a little more to it which I have not shared. The husband said that he has, yes, orgasm subsides several times before ejaculation, and that is eugenia. And eugenia, if you know, is a remedy for diabetes. So that is the way the case got solved, and then of course we confirmed it. So next, this guy, 22 years old, says, "Doctor, I get very angry, and in the anger, I just cannot hold myself from throwing things. I will definitely throw things, and I will want them to break, because the moment it breaks, I feel cool. I feel cooled down. Once the thing breaks, I feel cooled down. And then it automatically brings a smile on my face." Anybody for the rubric? The rubric is break things desire to and laughing about it. And then, of course, the whole case confirmed Apis beautifully. It was actually a case where the guy was brought to me because he was interested in, you know, making stunts on bikes. He would stunt around on bikes, and the parents were very concerned that he might hurt himself. So he was brought so that his stunting would go down, and this was one of the rubrics where it gave a direct entry into the case. Happy to break things. Yeah. Yes. Another case. This case was you know, it was it was of course a case of IBS where he was so much affected by some fear, and the fear was that the ceiling fan would fall down wherever he is sleeping. The fan would fall down, and on asking the fear, he says that in that fear, of course there's palpitation, etc. He gets physical symptoms, and after the first or second physical symptom comes up, he starts feeling that he's growing bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And that expansive state, he feels that, okay, now I've got up to this point, now I've got up to that point, now I'm as big as that, and everything is as if it is me. That was uh, the words that he used. But the end confirmatory symptom that I asked was about his stools. And the stools, he says, are white in color, and they have white pieces like paper pieces in it. Now that's the loophole of depending on only themes. Agaricus also has this big and big and big and big. It also is there in Hammer Melody, as I uh, explained just a little while ago. Cactaceae also has it, but it's not Cactaceae. That is why I've given you the confirmatory symptoms. Stool are white with pieces as like paper pieces in it. Look for the rubric. You have to look in the stool section. And yes, it is stool white shreddy particles. It is called chikum. Yeah, and now you understand the bigger, and then I have reached up to that point, and that is also me, which we discussed in detail a while ago. Okay. Now this is a purely pathological rubric. Pus formation under my nails. But this was the beginning of the case, and this was the hint in the case, the entry point in the case. It's nice to see so many suggestions of remedies. It is suppuration. No? Pus formation is suppuration in the nails. And the remedy was teucrium. And as I said, it was, of course, confirmed at other levels in the case, and then it was prescribed. But this was the entry point, suppuration nails. It's teucrium. Okay. So I think should we go for questions and answers? One more case. What does everybody feel? Some more case. Okay, cases. Done. So this is a case of 7-year-old female. Oops. So 7-year-old female, and she had come for throat pain. And when I looked into the throat with a torch, I could see that the uvula had turned towards the right. It's a straightforward rubric. Okay, single remedy rubrics. You have to study on your own from different repertories. If you have a computer repertory, it makes life so much easier. And you can just find the single remedy rubrics for any remedy and study that remedy accordingly. Okay, fungus under toenails. I'm not sure what is the rubric. Uvula deviation right is close, but it is also elongated. Did I not say it? I'm sorry if I didn't tell that part. The uvula was elongated and bent to the right. Uvula deviation right is correct if I didn't mention the elongation, which I think I didn't. I'm sorry for that. Yeah. Baraita Kab. That's right. Okay. Another case, male, 54 years. And again, this was a case of IBS. All the symptoms of the stools and rectum and everything was asked for. But on examination, just because it was a case related to the gastrointestinal tract, I looked into the mouth and throat, and I could see that there was blackish edges of the tongue on both sides. Again, a very straightforward rubric. Black tongue edges margins, Naxomica, and who can deny its role in IBS? Yeah, that was Naxomica. Then, see, I'll tell you one thing. This treasure of single remedy rubrics is unending. It is unending. Like, when we were learning, I could remember Sankaran sir teaching single remedy rubrics. And I'll just give you offhand a couple of examples that he gave us. So one of the rubrics that I remember from his teaching was nose tip knobby. Knobby meaning big, this round knobby nose tip. Single remedy or a met, yeah. The other one, which I'm just sharing examples that sir has said, so I'm not sharing anything new. The other one I remember he had told was he had a case of a young boy having cough, and the moment he started examining the throat, he would cough again because the boy would look up, and the rubric is cough looking upwards or bending the head backwards aggravates. The single remedy is lycopodium, and the boy improved on lycopodium. So why I'm giving you these examples is, this literally treasure of single remedy rubrics is unending. It is unending. If you, uh, like somebody said, study only single remedy rubrics, I suppose you would take a year or two, because there are too many, too many. If you want, I can share the number also, because somehow I was looking for all remedy rubrics, single rubrics, but it is almost around 1 lakh or more rubrics. So it is difficult to study only that much also. But if you, what I tried to impart today was, of course, single remedy rubrics, as we saw in the last 4, 5, 6 cases, as an entry point to the case, a physical single remedy rubric, maybe even a mental single remedy rubric. But if you use these single remedy rubrics to understand a remedy or to understand more things and themes about the remedy, then they are very much more useful than using them to solve cases or than using them to, as one-off incidences. Well, I do not use only complete repertory. I have purposely kept it limited to complete repertory today because it becomes easier for those who are trying to find the rubrics. I can give you an example where I had a case where he had loose motions after having sugarcane juice, and the only place this rubric is given is Fatak's repertory, and that is arsenic. So I'll just stop sharing, and I'll give you a few couple of examples. Maybe just give me a minute. Or is it added in complete repertory? That's nice. The time I solved the case, it was given only in Fatak's repertory. I'll give you other examples. Just a minute. Yeah, so there was this patient who used to have a headache only on riding in a car or a train, or if she went on a boat or something, yacht ride she had gone for. Only at that time she used to have a headache. And the rubric I could not find anywhere else. I could find only in Nair's repertory, and the rubric is inner head pain sick riding from in a carriage, boat or train or cars, etc. And the remedy I would leave to for you to find out. I don't think it's petroleum. Huh? Okay. So it depends, sometimes you find it. Nowadays what has happened is the complete repertory has tried to inculcate rubrics from all the repertories. So generally you find it in the complete repertory. But if you don't find, then you search for it. Okay. So we go for questions and answers. Any questions, Dr. Anugraha?
Sir, I think all the questions have been answered by you. There are no more questions right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's one interesting one that I found on the question and answer section. I would like to take that one. What is the interpretation of delusion wife is faithless? I would say interpretation is a slightly risky business, but today we did a lot of it. But to understand this, wife is faithless, meaning uh, she doesn't have faith in you. That is the more important facet of this rubric. Wife who is faithless could also mean that she has run away with somebody. But the more important thing is that she doesn't have faith in you anymore. That is the more important understanding that you should consider. I think the only remedy given is Staphylococcus agria. I have not checked. Should I check? Okay, now there are 3. Oh, it's Hyoscyamus. Wife is faithless, correct? No? Okay, wife is faithless is Hyoscyamus, Kaliars, and Stramonium. Wife will run away from him is Staphylococcus agria. Okay, that's interesting. Okay. Any other thing you want me to answer? Okay then.
Okay, sir. I think we can wind up the session then.
Yes, yes.
Thank you so much, sir,
everybody.
for the very interesting session. Thank you so much for the such an interactive session. People have actively participated today. So thank you so much, sir. And there is an announcement to make. Next week also, we will be meeting for the session for a repertory session by Dr. Shadol Joshi, and the topic would be differentiating rubrics on the basis of patient's expressions. So we will all be meeting next week, same time. So till then, take care, everyone. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.